Resources Subcommittee to order. Welcome, everyone. And thank you, Danny, for filling in, Delegate Marshall, excuse me, for filling in for me last week when I was ill. Let's go ahead and take a roll, please. And we have a quorum. All right. So obviously we have a very aggressive agenda today and a short window. So whatever we don't finish today, we will finish next week, next Wednesday at this same time. So I'm going to attempt to have 5 minutes per side on each issue, 1 minute per speaker. Not to be rude, but we need to move on with this agenda. And there are also, I remind the committee members, there are also written comments that have been submitted, and hopefully you've had a chance to look at those. If not, they're on IHOD. And there are some virtual speakers as well. If there are more virtual speakers than there are audience speakers, I'll try to take a good mix. If you're on one side of an issue or the other, I prefer that you say that I'm speaking for these people, so that, again, you can make sure that your voice is heard. And everyone feels like they've had a chance to have their piece. So with that, we'll just see how this goes. But we're going to start with the hunting bills first because that's what Chairman Ware asked me to do. So that's what we're doing.
You're the chairman.
Well, he's the chairman, exactly. So first bill is actually my bill. It's a House Bill 111. So I guess, Mr. Chairman, you want me to go down there and present?
Either way, wherever you want to go.
I'll just stay here for time purposes,
Sure.
if that's okay.
All right, House Bill 111.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, House Bill 111 is pretty simple. All it does is it adds to the current hunting on Sunday code section that you can now also hunt on wildlife management areas. And that's pretty much all the bill does.
Well, that's pretty simple. So anyone in favor of the bill? Please come forward, sir. Just recognize yourself, where you're from, social security number.
Excellent. So good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Kurt Lytle. I represent Virginia Bow Hunters Association. We have been active as a group since 1949. We were pioneers of of opening archery seasons for hunting big game in Virginia in the 50s. And we have very little presence in front of the General Assembly. However, this bill right here, HB 111, has moved us to come see you. And as you can see, we're pretty new to this. I'll bring my coat and tie next time. Opening up wildlife management areas is the core of what Virginia Bow Hunters believes in. We believe in opening up all public land, and wildlife management areas are properties that were bought and paid for by fishing and hunting dollars. And we have 95,000 bow hunters in Virginia. We would like to have that properties opened up. Thank you.
Any questions of the speaker? Thanks, sir. Thanks for coming down. Anyone else in favor? Please go forward. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate Edmonds, Cyrus Barry with Delta Waterfowl Foundation. Appreciate you championing this legislation yet again for the third year in a row. As you know, sportsmen and women are the main funders for conservation funding for the Department of Wildlife Resources, the agency that purchases and manages wildlife management areas. Yet, sportsmen and women continue to be the only user group that is actively discriminated against on Sundays, barred from partaking in their outdoor recreation of choice. This legislation is pretty straightforward, like you said. There's already legislation that has sailed through the Senate that includes all public lands. So we look forward to this one moving as well. Thank you.
Anyone else in favor like to speak? Good morning.
Hey. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm John Klooklaser with the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. We'd also like to express our strong support for this legislation. As Cyrus pointed out, these are wildlife management areas purchased and managed with hunter dollars. Hunters are the only user group in the Commonwealth that are excluded from accessing these public lands. Other user groups have access 365 days a year. And I'll just pull something I pulled off the Virginia Conservation Network website. I think they're neutral on the bill, but it had some good stuff in there I point out to you. Ensuring Virginians have daily access to the outdoors. We can ensure Virginians have daily access to the outdoors, and they talk about creating an outdoor equity access model. So I would just like to highlight that and ask for your consideration to allow hunters who contribute through hunting licenses, excise taxes on firearms, ammunition, and other sport and related goods to conservation, and that conservation benefits all game, non-game wildlife, and would ask for your support on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in favor? Anyone in opposition? Would you like to wrap up?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just, it's pretty self-explanatory, and, you know, I like the Senate bill too, so maybe if we can act favorably in the House on this bill, we can look at combining the two.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
We have a motion.
Move to report.
Have a motion. Do we have a second? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Doug Plum.
Mr. Chairman, I just think it would be inappropriate that we take up this bill without a reference to the long-term chairman of this committee, Vic Thomas, who for years, for decades, made sure that animals had a day to rest and we wouldn't vote on Sunday. I just thought it was important to note that for the record.
A day of rest. Okay.
Did I hear a second? I didn't hear a second.
Do we have a second on the bill?
Second on the motion.
I second it.
Okay.
All right. I guess we're ready to vote. All those wishing to vote on HB 111, please do so.
What would you like to vote? No? Okay, I can get that. There you go.
Bill,
Close the roll.
sorry.
The bill fails to report on tie vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next, we have Delegate Wyatt, House Bill 124.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I have before you House Bill 124, and there is an amendment to this bill.
Move the amendment.
Is there a motion to move? Have a motion amendment second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Amendment is before us. Tell us
And
what
what the amendment does in line 44, it removes the word big game and replaces it with deer at the request of DWR. Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Bill 125 authorizes the use of rifles equipped to fire .22 centerfire ammunition for deer hunting in the Commonwealth. Currently, Department of Wildlife Resources regulates allowed use of rifles with a caliber of 23 or greater. Currently, there are 35 states that allow the .22 centerfire rifles for deer hunting, including every state around us: West Virginia, Maryland, Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina. The lower recoil of the .22 centerfire rifle helps youth hunters, smaller hunters, and individuals with disabilities of the ability to deer hunt. Virginia could increase the amount of hunters taken to the woods and boosting the economy and much needed tax revenue. I hope it is the desire of the subcommittee to report this bill. Thank you.
Any questions? Delegate Wyatt from committee? I don't see anyone. Anyone virtually?
Just against. Do you want to do four?
We'll do four first. Anyone virtually for? Okay, anyone in the audience in favor? Like to speak to the bill? Anyone? All right, anyone virtually against?
Matt,
We have Matt Knox.
Evans. Mr. Chairman, members of the Natural Resources Subcommittee, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning. My name is Matt Knox, and I'm a resident of Bedford County and an avid deer hunter. I'm speaking to oppose House Bill 124 for two reasons. First, House Bill 124 does not meet the most basic rule of common sense. The first rule of common sense states that if it is not broke, do not fix it. Virginia's current .23 caliber regulation has been in place for the last 64 consecutive years, with no problems or issues. It is not broken. It does not need fixed. The second reason I oppose House Bill 124 is that it fails to meet the most fundamental deer hunting ethic, the ethic to make a single, clean kill shot. House Bill 124 will lower the minimum rifle standard, and this will result in more wounded and crippled deer. Why would Virginia adopt a bill that will unnecessarily result in more wounded and crippled deer being left in the deer woods each fall? Thank you for y'all's time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Knox. Appreciate that. Anyone else virtually? I don't think I see anyone. Anyone?
There's a patron question.
Yeah, Delegate Fowler.
Delegate Wyatt, what is the difference between a center fire cartridge for 22 and a rim fire? Right? Because this, if I could just speak, I mean, the original prohibition was when, there was no such thing as a center fire 22 caliber round. So, but anyway, Delegate Wyatt.
The cartridge is much larger on a 22 centerfire, higher capacity, travels a whole lot faster, and with modern technology and the ballistics on the types of bullets that are out there, you can get a clean kill. I would respond to the comment also, Mr. Chairman, on the gentleman speaking against that. Currently use arrows to take deer. You don't always get a clean kill with an arrow. This will, like I said, the ballistics of a 22 centerfire, they're probably experts with DWR that are here that could more eloquently express that, but the cartridge being so much larger that in the modern technology on the ballistics or the bullet itself, it allows you to take that deer cleanly.
Any other questions of committee? None. Anyone in the audience against in the room like to speak? No one? Does department have Delegate Plum?
Here he comes.
And maybe it is the department that would answer this. Do we have any independent expert witness in terms of this thing about whether or not a 22 with a single shot will take a deer?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Ryan Brown, Director of the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources. And we don't have a formal position on the bill as it's amended. And the answer to your question is deer aren't bulletproof, right? If you want to ask, will a 22 centerfire harvest a deer effectively, the answer is yes, or any animal for that matter. The greater question that we've confronted over the years and why you have the current 23 caliber and larger prohibition is you have to decide where to draw the line in the interest of humane kills and the odds of that occurring. And certainly people could stand at this podium and say that a 223, for instance, used in many other states for deer, with a proper shot, perfectly capable. And you can have a very large rifle, much bigger than what we're talking about here, make a poor shot and not have an effective kill. But the department historically has said, okay, well, you have to draw the line somewhere. And the 23 caliber and larger criteria has been in place for a long time and has served us well. And with the number of available rounds that are that size or larger out there that are in use by hunters now, we just haven't seen reason to disturb the current standard. But that's with no position on the legislation itself.
Any other questions of committee? Committee works on motions. Motion to lay the bill on the table. Is there a second? And a second. That's non-debatable. Committee vote on the board, please. Bill fails to report 4-2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry. Thank you, Delegate White. Or, excuse me, to lay on the table. Same difference, I guess. All right. House Bill 725. Delegate Goditis is, yeah, she here. Okay. Good morning.
Good
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee.
There's 6 of us here.
I have an amendment in the nature of a substitute.
Do you have that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I move the substitute.
Is there a second? Second. All right, we'll second, the substitute will be, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed no. Substitute will be before us in a moment. Oh, it was, okay. I'd like to report what the substitute does, please.
I didn't know who you were looking at, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, either one. You go.
Mr. Chairman, the substitute adds another exemption to the bill. So with the substitute, there will be 3 exemptions for the ban on steel jaw traps. It exempts federal, state, and local agencies. It exempts farmers who have to use these traps after other methods fail to control property, crop, or livestock damage. And it includes an exemption for bona fide wildlife research or endangered species protection performed by scientists affiliated with universities or nonprofits. So those are the exemptions.
Any questions of the patron? No questions of the committee? All right, anyone virtually signed up to speak? 4?
May I talk
Delegate
about the bill,
Goditis,
sir?
yes. I'm
Thank
sorry, I
you,
thought
Mr.
you hadn't done that.
The bill bans the use of steel-jawed traps because they're cruel. They can result in significant injury and suffering for animals trapped, including loss of limbs, teeth, painful and prolonged death. They often snare non-target species, including dogs and cats. And some years ago, the American Veterinary Medical Association estimated that 67% of total catches are non-target species. 10 states and 85 countries ban these traps with similar exemptions to this bill. Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that this bill came to me from a number of my constituents, most of whom are farmers with livestock, and all of whom had hunting dogs caught in these traps. That's how it came to me. And that is my presentation, Mr. Chairman. I believe I have people to speak for the bill, both online and in person, I think.
Yeah, we have 7 signed up online to speak for the bill. So we'll probably take a couple online and a couple in the room for the for side, and then also if there are that many for the opposition side. So first, no one has any questions of the patron? Okay. First in the queue would be Miss Linda Greaves. Linda? Okay, going once, going twice.
Yeah, I'm there.
There
I'm
she
here.
is. Okay.
Hello, I'm Linda Greaves. I live in Great Falls, Virginia, and I've been in Virginia for about 20 years. And I'm the Virginia lead for Trap Free America, and I'm a member of Virginia Voters for Animals. And we are very much in support of this bill. I agree with everything the speaker that just spoke said, and also the fact that these are barbaric, outdated methods, and we all know now there are humane ways of predator control where it's necessary, and the pelts and stuff that these people say they're hunting for to make a living, they go for under $20, so there's no monetary value. And just the fact that so many non-targeted animals are killed, in addition to these animals, these traps are not checked daily. These animals suffer in the heat and in the cold. It's just we need this to go away. This is a big issue for many of us. And, same thing in my opinion with the snaring. So I just wanted to say thank you for your time. And also the one thing too is people shouldn't be handling wildlife right now with chronic wasting disease and with the COVID we're going around right now. These animals can carry these diseases, and we need to be leaving them alone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Greaves. Next, Linda Kemp.
Not in the room.
Not in the room? Okay. Ms. Esther Gonzalez. She's not in the room? Okay. Dr. Santiago Avila?
I'm here.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I am the Science and Conservation Manager for Project Coyote, speaking on behalf of our Virginia supporters and hold PhDs in carnivore conservation and nature ethics. And as a scientist, I'd like to state confidently that science does not support lethal trapping as wildlife management or conservation. Instead, contemporary conservation science understands that biodiversity and ecosystem health are best managed through the protection of wildlife and natural processes instead of managing wildlife like cash crops. The best available science also points to education and non-lethal methods that are effective, targeted, safe, and address the root causes of conflicts, while education decreases conflicts by reducing misperceptions and promoting peaceful coexistence. On top of that, scientific understanding not only acknowledges these animals as feeling, thinking beings that value their lives and well-being, but also their contributions to a healthy environment. So given these interesting contributions, ethical coexistence with wildlife demands the respect and consideration in public policy. So on this issue, ethics and science are in agreement that trapping is not only wrong, but cruel and should be ended in the state of Virginia for the sake of our entire community. So I'm asking committee members to please vote yes on HB 725, 1175, and 1176. Thank you for taking the time to consider this.
Thank you. All right, we're going to, we had, just to, so everyone to understand, we had Miss Kathy Liss and Miss Daphne Nakminovich, who are registered in favor of House Bill 725. So, but we're not going to have time to hear their testimony. But is there anyone in virtual queue against? And I see one. Or anyone in the audience in favor? Let's do that first. Anyone in the audience in favor? Come forward, please.
In favor.
This is in favor of the bill.
Thank you, Chair Edmonds. Members of the subcommittee, my name is Molly Armis. I'm the Virginia State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. On behalf of the HSUS, the Virginia Federation of Humane Societies, and our supporters here in Virginia, we appreciate your time and respectfully urge you to support HB 725 for the reasons that have already been mentioned. Thank you, Delegate Goditis, and thank you, members.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience in favor of House Bill 725? Okay, we'll take comments in opposition. In opposition virtually, we have Zachary Sheldon.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Zachary Sheldon with the Nature Conservancy. I want to thank the sponsor or the patron and for working with us on language. We were originally opposed to this legislation. I think with these amendments, we are now neutral. Just the background on why we're weighing in, and I'll be weighing in the next two bills, is the Nature Conservancy. We are doing conservation across Virginia, in particular on the eastern shore and the barrier islands. We are doing a migratory bird management where we're protecting threatened, endangered, and species and birds of concern. And that requires predator control that we deals with both coyotes, raccoons, and foxes. And we contracted the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services to set up these traps. And it's just an important part of us being able to conserve these species. I do just want to, I think, as I said, this language now, we would be able to continue to do our current conservation work. I don't know if this patron would be open to, it mentions endangered species. I'm just wondering if endangered, threatened, or Virginia species of concerns might be friendly. I just don't want to accidentally have to come back in the future and say, oh, we can't work on these species now because it wasn't only endangered. But I'll leave that to the committee to determine.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I think it does mention endangered species, but
No, I'm sorry. It mentions endangered, but I'm concerned that that would exclude a species that wasn't endangered but might be threatened or might be on Virginia species of concerns, but not on the federal listings.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in no one else is on the queue for opposition. Anyone in the audience like to speak in opposition? Come forward and briefly tell us who you are.
Thank you very much. My name is Heidi Krosky, and I'm with the Virginia Animal Owners Alliance. We're asking that you still please oppose this bill. We represent a lot of pet owners and farmers, and even with the amendments, it's still limiting what farmers can do on their property and to protect their own animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Stephanie Talon with Virginia Farm Bureau. We certainly appreciate the patron attempting to limit the scope of this bill and putting farmers in exemption. However, we still feel that the amendment does not protect our farmers enough. We found with other species such as black vultures that when farmers are under the gun to prove damage before they are able to protect their crops and livestock, it simply doesn't work because this damage occurs very quickly and they need the ability to protect their property immediately. So we do ask that you oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Judge Charlton. I'm the president of the Virginia Property Rights Alliance. I oppose this bill because it limits the effectiveness of predator control, and far more hunting dogs are killed by collisions with automobiles than they are by traps. Get the hunters off the road and you'll save dogs. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Corey Connors with Virginia Forestry Association. We appreciate the delegate making some amendments to the bill. However, those amendments do not allow for the trapping of beavers by private folks who do this work. So for that reason, we oppose the bill.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Ryan Brown, Director of the Department of Wildlife Resources, and we do oppose this bill. We, as you know, heavily regulate trapping in Virginia, done properly. It's an ethical way of addressing nuisance wildlife concerns on agricultural properties or for homeowners and other landowners, not to mention our nuisance wildlife control operators who address with wildlife conflicts that are out there. Happy to take any questions, but wanted to state our position.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in opposition? Okay, like to wrap up, Delegate Gadias?
Yes, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to emphasize, I'm a member of the Agriculture Chesapeake Natural Resources Committee. I was very reluctant to bring this bill. When it was proposed to me, I asked the most avid hunters I know, and that's a lot of them, and my brother-in-law, who is a retired game warden and the most avid hunter I've ever met. All of them, without question, said the traps are cruel. All of them said that they have come across animals who have starved to death or chewed into their leg and died in the trap because the traps aren't checked. And my brother-in-law, the ex-game warden, that was his main concern as a game warden. The number of times he found animals in traps that had died there because people weren't checking their traps. So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that this is humane. We have other measures to protect farmers. That's also important. But as I said, the constituents who brought this to me were mostly farmers whose hunting dogs had been caught in traps. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Gadias. Delegate Tran.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask a question of the director. Thank you. I was reading that trapping using steel-jawed traps are banned in over 80 countries in the world. Can you tell me from your experience if there are alternatives that are available to address similar issues for why people currently use these types of traps in Virginia? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to address the question, this is your primary alternative for that's used really in the country, certainly in Virginia, for trapping situations that are necessary for nuisance wildlife. This is the number one used device that's out there. Now, I'll tell you that and certainly other folks can debate otherwise, but I keep a steel-jawed trap in my office at work to demonstrate to folks how these work, and I actually demonstrate it by putting my hand in it, because they don't work like some people may have you believe. We do require trappers to visit their traps every single day. If they don't do that, that's a violation of law that they're cited for. So, certainly don't like to hear of instances of that, but that's currently prohibited under law. These traps are what our trappers use, what our agriculturalists use, what others use as a first line for many species. And I'll also tell you, not every trap works for every species of wildlife. I got a question about this bill just in the hallway of, well, why can't they use box traps? Well, box traps may be effective for catching some species of wildlife, but others aren't going in that box. So, that's why we have the variety of devices out there that we do. So, as I said, we watch and heavily regulate what traps are legal to use and which are not, with an eye towards humaneness and appropriateness for the situation. And we've seen fit, along with the other states, most of the other states in this country, to continue to allow them.
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Wright?
At the proper time, I have a motion, Mr. Chairman.
I think that would be appropriate.
I'll move to PBI the bill.
A motion to PBI and a second.
Second.
All right. Vote on the board here. Motion to PBI passes on a vote of 4-2. Thank you, Delegate Gadias. Moving right along, Delegate Ranson.
Thank you, Mr.
Good
Chairman,
morning.
members of the committee. Along the same lines, I guess, could we take up House Bill 1176 first?
Sure.
And if it's okay with the committee, on line 12, could we strike the word game?
All right.
And could we just read for the audience how it would read now?
We need a vote on that amendment, correct? Have a motion and a second? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Amendment is before us.
Okay. I know you all are wondering why in the world is Delegate Ranson, who's always supportive of hunting, fishing, and obviously our farmers as well, why am I bringing this bill before you all? In 2020, we had an incident in my district where a couple of hunting dogs were caught in a snare trap, and it spawned a petition to go out throughout my district, and then it ended up statewide to ban snare traps. So what this bill does, House Bill 1176, is it bans snare traps to be used throughout the Commonwealth. And this bill has already passed on the Senate side, and it makes it east of 95 through dog hunting season. This bill goes a little further and it just bans it statewide. My intent for this bill really is just to bring awareness about what is happening, what happened in my district. I believe that they are intentionally putting this on property to catch dogs. I don't think that that they are doing it to catch a nuisance species. And I will tell you that Department of Wildlife Resources, I brought their attention to this. They were very, very helpful. They were on scene quickly. It happened again in 2021. The owners of the dog got to one of the dogs in time to save it. It did not get there in time to save the second dog. In the community, we've also had instances where pets have been lost in the same location. Obviously, if you catch one of these animals in the snare, I don't think the homeowner is going to call or try to find that find the owner of the pet, and let them know, because you're going to be brought up on very serious charges at that time. It's very easy to buy a snare. You can just go over to Tractor Supply. You don't have to register your snare. It's pretty serious. A lot of my farmers are using the jaw traps. You do have to check them daily. And if you do not have the intended animal in there that you want, you can set it free. A snare trap, obviously you guys know how a snare trap works. If you get hung up in it, the more that you wrestle to get out of it, the tighter it gets you. And you're gone. You're dead. It could be my golden retriever. It could be, a little lab that wanders off because he caught a scent of a female. It's a very dangerous device. It's very serious. So what's happening in my district, we've got people that are buying up large properties of land, putting snare traps all over their property. They do not own livestock. They aren't trying to kill nuisance species. They are doing it with intent to try to catch something else. I'm seeing it close to where I live. The sheriff has seen it, and I'm happy if you all would hear from him. So that is my intent with my first bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Delegate Ranson. Any questions of Delegate before we hear testimony? Okay. Anyone in the queue?
You will get the sheriff first.
Sure. We'll take the sheriff first. Sheriff, come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Delegate Ranson spoke to you, I was aware of snare traps in my jurisdiction starting in 2018 when an individual had his hunting dog trapped into it. He had a chance to go down there with a pair of dikes, not that everybody carries those, and cut it out. Again in 2020 and 2 in 2021. So far we have had 2 animals killed and 2 that were surrendered. Now the only reason that we're finding out that these animals are being killed in here is because hunters use tracking collars on their dogs. We know where they are. They know where they are. There's no telling how many animals that have been trapped and killed in these things that are not being tracked. That's the only reason that you know it right now. And I understand, I had talked to Ryan Brown about this when it first came up. And it's pretty prevalent to me from our conversation with him that the western part of the state is a big supporter of this. And I understand that. They have vast areas of land. They have very unpopulated areas. It is a beautiful area of Virginia, and I love going out to the west. It's one of my favorite things. But on the east side of Virginia, there's a difference. We don't have the mountains. We don't have the vast lands that we have. We have the beaches. We have the rivers, the creeks. And Virginia is a unique state, a beautiful state. But there's 2 different parts of it. And I really believe that if we do this bill that east of 95 or do away with these altogether, it is going to be, it will make my citizens happy. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sheriff. We'll go to the queue. Linda Greaves.
Yeah, hello. I'm Linda Greaves, and I wanted to speak up on this. I really appreciate the previous speakers on this. Yeah, the fact that the snares are indiscriminate killers, and if you've ever seen, once they go on something, they can't re-release. So as they struggle, you see all different parts of the body snagged in them, cut to the bone. You see animals that do get loose running around with these snares attached to parts of their bodies, and it is just horrific. Again, there's humane ways of dealing with this, or this is not hunting, this is abuse, and we as constituents do not want these. There's other methods that don't kill anything and everything that come along a path. So that's all I have to add to that part. And also, these animals being struggling and stuff, again, chronic wasting disease and them being set up for attacks by other animals is just inhumane. And again, while there are responsible people that check their trap, there's over and over again documentation of these animals staying in traps, in snares for days at a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Dr. Santiago Avila.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I'm again speaking on behalf of Project Coyote Virginia supporters. Again, I'm going to repeat for the record that science does not support any sort of trapping, be it through snares or through steel-jawed traps as wildlife management or conservation, instead pointing to education and non-lethal methods that are effective, targeted, safe, and address the root causes of these conflicts instead of the symptoms of an individual being there. Non-lethal methods are far more effective because they are not disruptive of carnivore social structure and pack structure, like, of course, trapping is through any method. And as a scientist that has also studied human perceptions related to wildlife, I can also state that trapping is not supported by the vast majority of Americans who are instead increasingly concerned, and we're hearing this here, with the well-being of wildlife that contributes to our well-being through environmental contributions and processes. So we should consider this well-being in public policy.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we also had Kathy Liss, and again, I'm sorry, Ms. Liss, that we understand that you are in favor of the bill, but we're going to go now to anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you, Chair Edmonds, members of the subcommittee. Molly Armis, I'm the Virginia State Director for the Humane Society of the United States. We strongly support HB 1176 and thank Delegate Ransom for bringing this. Everything she said, everything the other speakers have said, we affiliate our comments with. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have anyone in the queue in opposition? We have Zachary Sheldon.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Zachary Sheldon again with the Nature Conservancy. I do want to thank the patron. We were able to at least express our concerns with the bill for office yesterday. But as I mentioned on the previous bill, we contracted the United States Department of Agriculture's Wildlife Services to use snares and other traps to protect our migratory bird program on the eastern shore and the barrier islands. The bill as written would prohibit us from being able to use that and impact our conservation work. Either some sort of exemption for the agencies using these or wildlife management activities could maybe allow our work to continue. Currently, we have to oppose.
Thank you. All right, no one else in the queue. Anyone in the audience like to speak in opposition? House Bill 1176, please come forward.
Yes, thank you. My name is Heidi Krosky with the Virginia Animal Owners Alliance. There's a lot of discussion about the animal that's caught in the snare, but there's no discussion really about what that animal would do if it got in the field with your livestock. If anybody has seen what a coyote or what a dog does when it gets in your field with your animals, it is very devastating. So we are asking you to oppose this bill, even with the amendment. There's a bigger picture here that we ask that you to please consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning again. Stephanie Talon with Virginia Farm Bureau. We do appreciate the conversations with the Patron's Office regarding this issue, but we do oppose the bill. Farm Bureau has had long-standing policy opposing any anti-trapping laws due to the severe damage that our farmers face all across Virginia on both sides of the state from wildlife damage, whether it's coyotes killing livestock or groundhogs or foxes destroying crop fields. They really do need the ability to protect their property at all times. And in addition to individual producers, as was already mentioned, USDA Wildlife Services provides these wildlife damage management support to our individual producers when that damage is excessive. And snares were the #1 tool that they use to remove coyotes from farms who were experiencing that predation. So this bill would severely limit their ability to do so, and we ask that you oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning again. Judge Charlton, Virginia Property Rights Alliance. We oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Colclaser again with the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. Yeah, trapping is a traditional and essential wildlife management tool, and we oppose the legislation as written, including the amendment, and at a minimum, like to see that amendment be tailored more specifically. I think it's drafted to apply to deer seasons, which would include archery and other things that don't really apply to deer or dog hunting. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? Does the department have any thoughts?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Ryan Brown from the Department of Wildlife Resources. Happy to take any questions that you may have. Certainly share the concern that the delegate has about folks misusing snares, but they are a primary tool used in addressing particularly coyote concerns that farmers have. So as she understands, this is a difficult issue. We do regulate the use heavily in Virginia, similar to with the leg hold traps. The snares that we allow folks to use in Virginia do not include those that ratchet tight and hold. They have to relax when the animal relaxes, and the cases that we've had often involve illegal snares, and we discover that through investigation, after the fact. But we in 39 other states use them in our wildlife management activities here in Virginia, and any questions that you have about it, happy to address them.
Delegate Tran, do you have a question for the patron or Director Brown?
Yes, I'd like to ask the director a question, Mr. Chair. I was interested in the comment from the gentleman from the Nature Conservancy about using snares in terms of as part of state or federal wildlife management. Could you speak to that a little bit, please?
Yeah, there's really two answers to that question, and I think on his side of things, organizations such as the Nature Conservancy, who we've spoken on behalf of, and our agency, use these in the work that we do in surveys and otherwise instances where we need to capture wildlife for scientific purposes. And then another reference that you heard was to U.S. Department of Agriculture Wildlife Services, which is an organization that responds to agricultural producers who have predation problems on their property. And this is one of their primary tools for helping our farmers with those issues.
Anyone else? Any questions? Dr. Ransom, you want to wrap up comment?
Yep. I would just say, like I said, the Senate bill that's coming over makes it east of 95 and during deer hunting season. If you all are interested in amendment to this, I'm happy to entertain that, or if you're ready to make a motion, I understand that too. I will tell you, the farmers where I live in my district, they use jaw traps. They have no interest in snare traps at all. I think they've shared that with Farm Bureau. They're very disheartened that Farm Bureau is not supporting this bill or Senator McDougal's bill. They've seen the harm and the danger that's happened with these snare traps over the past few years. There's been a lot of investigations with so many people moving into our region, buying up large portions of property and putting up these snare traps, and they are catching the wrong animal.
Dr. Tran, one more question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Ranson, I'm particularly interested in the issue of state or federal wildlife management practices and how we can ensure that those continue. Would you accept as a friendly amendment, with an exception for state or federal, wildlife management practices to get at that issue that the Nature Conservancy brought up?
I think that maybe the director may be better to answer how that would play out with this legislation. But I'm happy to accept anything, to be honest. As it pertains to controlling what's happening right now.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that would certainly allow our agency and the federal agency that goes out and helps agricultural interests when they have issues. But I would say statewide the majority of snare use is going to be by private individuals taking care of their own issues. Obviously we have limited resources, and so do our federal counterparts to go out. And I don't think any of that is in any way intended by the delegates' bill to be affected. She's dealing with the practical problem that folks are setting these to catch hunting dogs. And that's a real concern, and obviously not in the interest of any of our legitimate trappers that are out there using these devices.
Mr. Chair, if that's an interest of the committee. Mr. Chair, if that's an interest of the committee, I would like to put forward that as a potential amendment to this bill, and would be glad to work with the patron and council to draft that if there's interest from the committee.
Well, let's check the temperature of the committee. At this point, before we finalize an amended draft, would there be, and maybe it's not appropriate, was there a motion that we consider this amendment? We have one. I guess you moved.
Oh, so moved.
Is there a second? Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
No. Ayes have it. Would you like to work on the draft of this amendment? Do you think we can work on it on the fly, or should we take it by for the day?
Mr. Chairman, I believe if we understand
It's 3-3.
Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. It was 3-3. I thought it was 4-3, 4-2. So I'm sorry. Delegate Ransom amendment fails. So now we have the bill originally back before us, and committee works on motions. I'm hearing no motion, Delegate Ranson. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That-
Bill.
That's okay. We'll continue to work
Okay.
on that issue. So I have House Bill 1175 also dealing with the size of snare traps, and we have a substitute. Guess I would just need a
Okay, you said there was
Mr.
a substitute?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion on substitute? Second? Second. All in favor of substitute, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Substitute's for us.
And, Mr. Chairman, I will post the substitute, but it's one sentence, so I'll read it for the committee. It would change the section, the language that's in the bill to say, it shall be illegal to kill or trap or attempt to kill or trap any wild bird or wild animal using a snare trap with a diameter greater than 12 inches.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, currently the diameter, I believe, is 38. And what we're doing is decreasing that size down to 12. And the purpose of that is just to make sure that you cannot get certain animals caught in the snare trap. So again, I'm just trying to address the issue of getting animals caught in the snare trap and hopefully eliminating the problem that's at hand.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the patron on this bill? So we have two in the queue that would like to speak in favor. So first we'll have Ms. Kathy Liss. Ms. Liss?
Thank you very much. I am a Fairfax County resident and president of the Animal Welfare Institute, a nonprofit charity established in 1951 that is in science. And we seek to alleviate animal suffering that's caused by people and support this legislation as a step in the right direction. Virginia should enact this legislation because these snares are inherently inhumane. They risk capturing non-target animals, various types of wildlife, dogs, including hunting dogs and cats. And this risk is unacceptably high. And there are a number of less cruel alternative types of traps, as well as alternatives to mitigate human-wildlife conflict. And I'd just like to describe what happens when a canid is caught in a neck snare. Their thick musculature around the animal's neck, carotid artery to continue to supply blood to the brain. But the jugular vein is constricted, cutting off blood back down to the heart. A telltale sign is the grossly swollen head of the snare victims. And trappers see this often enough that they refer to it as jelly head, very greatly swollen head. And of course, this is something that dogs risk as well. Dogs, including those used for hunting, are at great risk. And as you know, in a highly publicized case, 2 dogs strangled to death after being caught in a neck snare. I would encourage you to look at the rest of my testimony for additional comments on the subject. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Liss. Next. Okay, so anyone in the audience like to speak in favor? Okay, anyone in the queue we have against? We have Zachary Sheldon again.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Zachary Sheldon with the Nature Conservancy. Again, I want to thank the patron for office speaking with us on this, but as with the other bills, it still would impact our conservation work on the Eastern Shore, and so we would need to oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience like to speak in opposition? House Bill 1175.
Good morning again, Stephanie Talon with Virginia Farm Bureau. We do have concerns and would prefer to work out the specifics named in the bill through the regulatory process. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Heidi with the Virginia Animal Owners Alliance, and we are still asking that you please oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning again. My name is Judge Charlton. I'm with the Virginia Property Rights Alliance. We oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No questions of the patron from committee? Delegate Tran?
Sorry, a question for the patron, Mr. Chair. Delegate Ranson, did you arrive at the circumference greater than 12 inches because could you speak to that just a little bit? Do you believe that that is a good kind of demarcation for animals that are a little bit smaller versus ones that are a little bit larger that might be, around the
It's
safety issue?
diameter, so we switched it to
sorry.
diameter.
Okay.
Yes, so
Diameter.
that, we arrived at that because that's what the regulation previously was. They increased it to, is it 38 now?
Sorry, I didn't mean to take it over. Yes, Mr. Chairman, the standard used to be 12 inches in diameter. Now it's 38 inches in circumference, which works out similarly. Now there's another modifier in there with respect to what height they're allowed to be set at. That previously had been ground level, now it's 12 inches above ground. So there are some nuances in there. But independent of the outcome of the bills here today, I'm committed to the delegate and some of the stakeholders involved with this to continue to look at our regulations on these, whichever way the bills go, and look at all the various components of how these are allowed to be set.
Thank you, Director Brown. Anyone else? Okay. Committee works on motions. Or Delegate Ransom, would you like to say wrap up on this one?
I think that something needs to be done. Something needs to be done very quickly because not only are we allowing people to just go out and buy snare traps and they have zero experience with trapping. And I support trapping. I think it's important that we are able to do this so that we can control nuisance species on our property, particularly with farmers. But when you have an inexperienced person going out and buying these traps, they don't know what they're doing. We have folks that can't get there quickly enough. We don't have enough people on the ground within the Department of Wildlife and Resources to get there fast to inspect the traps. We don't know where all the traps are. We have a problem happening right now. I've alerted them. Again, I will tell you they've been great to work with. But I think we're going to have serious problems moving forward if we don't address it now. I brought it to their attention, 3 or 4 years ago. They assured me they're going to do something in regulation. I haven't seen that yet. That's why you see bills from myself, Senator McDougal, and just something needs to be done quickly.
Thank you, Delegate Ransom. Thank you. Any other questions of committee? Committee works on motions. Have a motion to report. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion to report and second. All right, all those in favor, vote on the board. On the substitute, I'm sorry, yes. Bill fails to report on a vote of 3-3.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Ransom. All right, moving right along. Delegate King, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I'm going to try something that my good friend just did, which is, you're probably wondering, why in the world is Delegate Keem, somebody who supports hunting and fishing, bringing this bill to this subcommittee? Well, the answer actually is because I actually missed serving on this committee. I was a colleague of yours for a number of years, and I really enjoyed these bills, starting with my very first session when I inadvertently didn't realize that there's a lot of history behind this issue, and I brought a bill that would overturn the Sunday hunting. I got to know a lot of my friends here very well because of that process, and as a result, I've been able to understand the nuances that are involved, not only in the hunting and the fishing and that lifestyle and the hobbies and such, but the business end of it in terms of the wildlife management, animal treating the animals in a way where we protect the interests of livestock and agriculture, but also those that own domesticated animals. And so I've had the chance to learn a whole bevy of issues that surround the issues that you care about today. And you've also heard today from a number of other colleagues about the issue of activities where we have already declared as a matter of policy that these are legal things that we want to do. unfortunately, because of some abuses or some unintended consequences, we're trying to narrow those legal activities or make some things illegal that used to be legal for the purpose of achieving a goal. I think what I'm trying to do with House Bill 1247 is a little bit different in that the question about whether this activity is legal or not has never been addressed in a broader sense. Obviously, hunting is legal. We have a lot of different regulations around that. But what we're seeing now with some activities by some individuals and organizations is taking the vague or unclear area of the law to say, well, since hunting is allowed, let's do a competition or a contest or something that brings incentives for people to come to Virginia from all over the place, within the Commonwealth and outside, and have a weekend of just a killing contest where we just go out and just kill as many animals as possible, weigh them to see who shot the most, and then give out prizes. Now, clearly, there are some activities like that where it's designed for wildlife management, it's designed for livestock protection, it's designed to be on your private property. So if it's done in a way that's legitimate and credible within our laws, this bill would not touch that at all. It would not it would not exempt or make illegal anything that happens on private property. That's already current law. If it's done for wildlife conservation purposes or management purposes, as wildlife resources would do, that's something would be protected. But here, what we're trying to do is narrow as much as possible those activities that end up being just nothing but a sport or a competition. I know that, Mr. Chairman and members, you know that Department of Wildlife Resources tried in its own efforts to see if they can come up with regulations to address this. What they realized is that because of the statutory authority, Department of Wildlife Resources they don't believe it have the authority to regulate this aspect. And so the only way we can try to address this, if we wanted to do so, is through legislation. Now, Mr. Chairman, I know we've had many conversations both with stakeholders and with my members here. The bill that I've drafted, I tried my best to narrow it, to exempt a number of different legitimate hunting and wildlife management and livestock management activities so that that's not part of the bill. But I understand that there may be some further narrowing that some committee members may be interested in. So at this time, I would entertain that, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions or turn to the public testimony.
I have spoken with the patron of the bill, and I have an amendment I'd like to offer, and that would be on line 15 to strike coyotes or, and then also on line 19 to strike coyote or. And then 10 of that amendment would be to basically still allow these hunts for the purposes of coyotes, which are nuisance species, but it would not allow the shooting of bobcats and fox in this same venue. I personally have an issue, just philosophically, with cash prizes, cash basically being offered for the harvesting of animals that are not on a nuisance list. I think it's a bad precedent. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm offering that as an amendment.
Second.
And have a second to that amendment. Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, along those lines, with that amendment, I would also suggest adding language at the end of the bill that just clarifies that for purposes of this section, coyotes are not considered fur-bearing animals.
If that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. I'm not an attorney, so thank you for that. I would then add that as to the amendment. Do we have a second on the suggested amendment? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Have one no. The amendment is before us. Delegate Keem, I hope you feel like it's a friendly amendment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, just as you know, and Lisa knows very well, the definitions already demarcate nuisance, which is where coyote category is, and then fur-bearing animals is a separate category. But I think that's great to make sure that we don't unnecessarily confuse the two. So I think the bill, with the amendments, what the bill would do is simply say that those activities that our farmers and others need in order to take care of nuisance animals such as coyotes can still continue. Now, we may personally not like the idea of having cash incentives, but that's something for them to decide. But as far as fur-bearing animals, which are not nuisance by code, by policy, they should not be used as a target for these types of activities. So we're hopefully sending some message to the broader community out there that we welcome hunters, we welcome fishers, we welcome wildlife folks that want to come and enjoy it, but let's be careful about what we do, because if it's wildlife management, absolutely, but if it's just purely for the fun of shooting animals and then leaving the carcasses all around, that's the thing that we're trying to limit and reduce. And so with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer questions or turn to the public.
Do we have any questions of committee before we go to the public comment? I see none. So we have several in the queue that are in favor of the bill. First would be, we'll take two. Nancy Blaney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Nancy Blaney. I have lived in Virginia for 44 years, the last 39 in Arlington. I appreciate this opportunity to testify and urge you to support a ban on all wildlife killing contests in the Commonwealth without exception. I'm speaking today not only for myself, but also on behalf of Mary Cornell of Arlington, Jean and Mike Roush of Loudoun County, Laurie Bell and Jeff Dodson of Fairfax County, and Lisa and Kevin Gallo of Fairfax County. Wildlife killing contests are cruel and undermine legitimate, responsible wildlife management and conservation efforts. We care deeply about protecting the wild animals that make Virginia their home and want to see them treated humanely and ethically. The mass slaughter of coyotes, foxes, and bobcats for profit during these events is inhumane, unethical, and beneath our responsibility to manage wildlife for the enjoyment of present and future generations, and we strongly oppose these spectacles. They are disturbing for what they say about us as humans and are complete opposite of the respect we should show for our wild places and wild animals. The Department of Wildlife Resources' credibility and the public confidence in its ability to do its job is undermined by these spectacles. Its website states that it is responsible for the management of inland fisheries, wildlife, and recreational boating for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we are leading the...
Ms. Blaney, I'm going to have to ask you to suspend, and your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please oppose any changes in support of complete ban. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Johanna Hamburger.
Good morning, Chair and members.
Good morning.
That is correct. Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Johanna Hamburger. I work with the Animal Welfare Institute, and I'm speaking on behalf of my organization's Virginia members. We strongly support a ban on wildlife killing contests that does include coyotes and other fur bearers. 8 states have banned contests targeting coyotes and various other species, and I'll address why Massachusetts, Vermont, and Arizona have adopted bans. The Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife banned killing contests to address public concerns that certain hunting contests are unethical, contribute to the waste of animals, and incentivize indiscriminate killing of wildlife. The division further stated that the regulations mandate ethical hunting practices that promote or sustain support for hunting by the general public. The Vermont legislature banned coyote killing contests as well in response to public outrage. This process involved the Department of Fish and Wildlife issuing a report on coyote management, which expressed concern about the threat of polarization of the hunting and non-hunting communities and found that killing contests could possibly jeopardize the future of hunting and affect access to private lands for all hunters.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you,
All right.
Chair.
We also had Mr. Fagerholm and Ms. McPhee that were also in the queue in favor of the bill. We'll go now to the audience. Anyone in favor, please come forward.
Thank you, Chair Edmonds, members of the Natural Resources Subcommittee. I'm Molly Armis, Virginia State Director of the Humane Society of the United States. We strongly support prohibiting wildlife killing contests for fur bearers as well as coyotes in the Commonwealth. Let me underscore and echo Delegate Keem. A ban on killing contests would not prohibit anyone from hunting coyotes in unlimited numbers or prevent farmers from using lethal control to protect livestock. A ban is narrowly tailored to simply prohibit the competitive killing of wildlife. There are at least a dozen contests that take place every year in the Commonwealth, all of which target our wildlife, including coyotes. The HSUS recently went undercover at 3 of these events and documented behavior showing a total disregard for animal life. At the Eastern U.S. Predator Calling Championship in Wytheville in January, competitors slaughtered at least 590 coyotes, as well as untold number of fox in less than 2 days. Investigators documented bloody coyotes piled into trucks with license plates and stickers reading, "Coyote hearse, dog down, and killing yotes." Contestants dragged coyotes to scales to be judged for prizes as children played around dead animals lined up on the floor. At the Kanawha Valley Predator Calling Championship last year, participants gunned down hundreds of coyotes over a 45-hour period. A single two-man team killed 52 coyotes. The question is if this is what we want to teach our children, that coyotes, the wild cousins of domestic dogs, are just disposable pieces in a game for cash and prizes. Again, you'll notice the majority of the comments online are in support of a ban on these contests. This is not hunting. It's not about putting food on the table. This is making a game of killing animals. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, Delegate Keem.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone like to speak in opposition to the bill as amended? And there are 9 in the virtual. Oh, none. 9, none. Sorry. I need my hearing aids. My wife will tell you, why didn't you wear your hearing aids? Anyway, so there are none in the virtual room.
Good morning again,
Good morning.
Stephanie Talon with Virginia Farm Bureau. We certainly do appreciate removing coyotes from the bill. That does make it much better. However, we do have concerns of any bill that would limit a landowner or farmer's ability to utilize a method that they feel have been protecting their land and their property from wildlife damage, including other fur-bearing animals such as foxes. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Again, John Colclaser with the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. Coyotes are not native to Virginia. They're an invasive species, or maybe the biologists might call them a naturalized species at this point. But we strongly oppose the bill, and I'd ask for you to vote against it as well. Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Kirby Bursch from the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance. We oppose this bill.
Morning again, Mr. Chairman. I'm getting used to standing up here at this podium. Ryan Brown, State Wildlife Director. And we spent several months over the course of the past year looking at this particular issue because while these events are legal in the majority of states, there are 8 states to the north of us that have taken up some sort of limitation on it. And so we knew this bill or something similar to it would come to Virginia at some point in time. And I'm not going to drag you through that 3 months, but I will tell you, at the end of that process, we did not recommend any change to the current. And so, we do oppose this particular piece of legislation. Just a couple of points, and I'll be very short here. But a lot of the concern here comes from perception of how you hear about these events or what you may see. And, I would posit to you that when you look at what these hunters are actually doing, they're predator hunting. These are predator hunting contests. Calling them killing contests is not exactly fair to the folks who are carrying this out. The other is they follow our laws and regulations. So the pictures that you see are folks gathered together after legal hunts, but they're out there hunting on the landscape individually or in pairs and have a good record of following what our recommendations are and our laws and regulations. Since the bill's been narrowed, I won't speak to nuisance species, but what you're hearing in several bills today are really the crux of the issue of options for landowners and farmers and others to deal with predation issues. And we have the tools available that we have available. Predator hunting is a fairly specialized activity. There's not a lot of incentive for a lot of folks to get into it. This does provide some reason for someone to pick up the sport and be available to the folks who are experiencing predation issues. And with respect to our statewide wildlife populations, these events at the current level do not affect in a negative way our overall population of even our fur-bearing species. We certainly would have the authority to react to that if they did so, but our review found that no such impact was occurring currently. And while good predator management doesn't always mean kill every predator, if you're a farmer who's just had an issue, you need someone to help with it, and these folks are available for that. And so those are our comments.
Thank you, Director Brown. One more.
I'm Heidi Krosky with the Virginia Animal Owners Alliance. We appreciate the amendment to exempt the coyotes, but we do still have concerns. We just want to ensure that farmers and pet owners, that our animals are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? I don't see anyone. And I want to make a statement that as my amendment, that I am fully supportive of and participate myself in nighttime predator hunting. I think it's a great opportunity to do so. My objection, and I think it's a perception of and perhaps a preservation of the sport in the long run, is to not do this for cash. And so that was my objection. I think it's fine still to do this with coyotes since they're a nuisance species. So that's where the genesis of my amendment came from. So I just want to state that. So committee works on motions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Delegate Wright.
I move we table the bill.
Have a motion to table. Is there a second? Second. And a second. Motion to table and second. As amended. Correct? Okay. Let's vote on the board. All those voted who care to vote. The motion to table fails 3-3. I'm sorry? Yes, 3-3. So now we still have the bill before us.
Will the bill be reported?
Second.
Have a motion to report the bill as amended. Correct? All those voted who care to vote. So, bill fails to report. Okay, this is out of my league here.
Bill's dead.
Bill's dead?
Well, yeah, Mr. Chair, first of all, thank you to every member for this. And I know this is a very fairly new, but it's also a very important issue. And I just wanted to first thank you, the chairman, for your amendment. I think just to alleviate the concerns that were raised, by definition, if you're going after predator hunting, this bill still lets you do that. I don't like it, but it still lets you do that because by definition, predators and nuisance animals go hand in hand. So we've protected the fur bedding. But the other thing is just because of the fact that this is now still in the subcommittee, if I understand parliamentary procedure, the chairman at the full committee can always take an action if he decides to do so while the bill is still pending in the subcommittee, even if the subcommittee doesn't meet again. So I just wanted to follow up and maybe have some conversation with my colleagues about this. Thank you again.
Thank you, Delegate King. Okay, next. And we have approximately 30 more minutes left, but we knew these bills were going to be contentious, so and I assumed that we'd need to meet again. So we're not going to get through our docket today. Yes.
May I ask? We have 3 patrons who are not members of this committee. They've been sitting here for a long time. Could we take those bills up?
That's exactly what I was going to suggest.
Well, good idea.
Thank you, Delegate Marshall. So with that, who was here first? Was
I think Delegate
Sullivan?
Sullivan was here first.
Good morning. So we're gonna stray from hunting a little bit, okay? And good morning. We could probably use a
Chairman,
diversion
members of
at
the
this
committee.
point.
I appreciate you taking me out of order here. It's very kind of you. I enjoyed sitting through that portion of the hearing. I used to serve on this committee. It deals with some really interesting issues. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, HB 351 is now before you. It has a fancy title, a Driving Decarbonization Program Bill. It's a electric vehicle charging infrastructure bill. Mr. Chairman, I think we all know EVs are coming. You can't watch a football game these days without seeing several ads from Ford, GM, VW, Toyota. They've all made the decision to change their fleets to electric vehicles. Just last night, I had dinner with a fellow who's already reserved his electric F-150 Lightning truck, which is just a couple of years away from production. The problem is we have only 1,100 charging stations in Virginia. most of them are not publicly accessible, and very few of them, frankly, are in rural areas of Virginia. What this bill does is create a program which incentivizes private developers. This has nothing to do with what the utilities might do in the charging space. It incentivizes and provides a method for private developers to start building more charging stations around Virginia, and particularly it's directed at putting more in the rural areas of Virginia. For instance, what it does is it creates a grant program, and if you're putting a charging station in a traditionally in a rural area, you get a larger grant. So it's going to incentivize more of these to go in that direction. It also sets aside at this point 25% of all the money to go to rural areas. I also have a budget amendment that supports this bill, as does, I might add, Delegate Kilgore, and I'm working with him. He has a budget amendment for precisely the same thing, which would support this bill as well. That is money going to charging stations in rural Virginia. I might add there's federal money coming. The federal, the bipartisan infrastructure bill is going to be sending billions of dollars to Virginia. I think upwards of $100 million of which is going to be dedicated to electrification of our transportation system and the electric vehicle charging stations. And what this would do is create the place, the program to manage that money and work to get Virginia moving in this regard. I might add this is not just something directed at Virginians. We have a lot of people who pass through Virginia. Of course, I-95, I-81, a lot of out-of-staters come. We need to be able to continue to attract them to Virginia by creating the infrastructure for the electric cars, which we know they'll be driving in the future. This creates jobs. This enhances and promotes tourism because people want to come to all parts of Virginia, and if they're driving electric vehicles, they need to be able to charge them. And, of course, economic development. So one of the things I worry a lot about is making sure that everyone can have access to an electric vehicle as they start to come to Virginia. It shouldn't be limited just to people who can afford to install them in their homes or their garage. A lot of people don't have a garage, or a lot of people can't afford to install one at home. We need to be providing this service. So that's what this bill does, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Sullivan. Delegate Marshall.
So, Delegate Sullivan, of this amount of money, how many charging stations would that buy us?
I cannot answer that question, Delegate Marshall. Thank you for the question. I don't know whether my friend here might be able to answer that.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Greg Habib from Gentry Lock, here on behalf of Carbon Solutions Group. We're an EV infrastructure development company, amongst other things. We've been working with various stakeholders, including the Department of Energy, the Virginia Cool Cities, I think they call it, and others, to identify what the proper amount of deployment that the market can handle. So this would be several hundred new charging stations over the life of this, which has been identified as the right sort of uptake. And the goal here really is to simply get the market to the tipping point where then the market becomes self-sustainable. And so you've got a chicken or the egg situation where people in underserved areas won't buy electric vehicles until the charging infrastructure is there, but the charging infrastructure can't get there before the vehicles are there. And so all we need is a couple years of investment in this infrastructure to get us to the tipping point, and then the market will then take over and run on its own as all these new EVs come online. But I think the number was 600 and something along those lines.
Delegate Marshall?
So of the 600, which is not a lot, Virginia's a big spot. So how do you choose if they go to Halifax, if they go to my part? We're 30 miles apart. So how do you choose, who chooses where they go to?
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, that's up to you all to decide. The idea here is that it would be administered by the Department of Energy. But there are several different state agencies and departments that have actually worked on EV infrastructure issues. And the idea is that they would have essentially an RFP program where projects would come forward. They would propose, the state at your direction could decide what qualities a project needed to meet in order to be funded. And keep in mind, this isn't full funding. What we've seen in a lot of states is, frankly, bad policy where money is just thrown at infrastructure for the sake of infrastructure. And then what we see is totally unused infrastructure just sitting in neighborhoods or parking lots or whatever. The idea here is that the developers have to have skin in the game. It's not a full grant. The non-utility costs they still bear a significant portion of. And so in all likelihood, they will identify projects that will get the most demand, the most success, drive the most uptake in vehicles, and then again, the market can become self-sustaining.
So one follow-up.
Delegate Marshall.
So if I fill up my vehicle with gas, no matter where I go, that gas nozzle will go in my tank. So is one plug for the same for
Yes.
all vehicles?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the answer to that is yes. One of the things we want to make sure is that there's a standardization so that anyone can use these chargers. And let me just emphasize something that our friend Delegate Habib had to say. This is not a giveaway. This is not here's $100, go build something for $100. This is seed money. The developers who are doing this are going to be using mostly their own money. And so this is, I just wanted to emphasize, this is not some sort of corporate giveaway.
So the developer, who would be the developer of this? Are there companies out there now who are doing this?
There are, and as you heard just a moment ago, Delegate Marshall, this would be a competitive process. Again, this bill, we're not choosing winners and losers in this bill. The Department of Energy will have to develop the regulations, an RFP process, and may the best man win in terms of who's got the best proposal.
And
Delegate Marshall.
One follow-up. So going down I-40, there's a barbecue spot I stop at all the time going to Wilmington, where my daughter lives, and there are about a half a dozen charging stations there. And what I was talking to one of the guys charging, there are different types of chargers. You got a fast charge, you got a regular charge. So are all of these going to be fast charge, or does it make any difference?
That's going to depend on kind of the regulations that the Department of Energy comes up with. My guess is, and emphasize guess, there will be different kinds. Some of them will be fast charging, some of them will not be. It's just going to depend on. I mean, this is going to take several years to develop. But what this bill does is get us started.
Thank you.
Just to Delegate Marshall's point, the bill doesn't actually say, and that was intentional. There was what we wanted to be is agnostic on developer and technology, because who knows what the technology is going to look like in 2 years. I mean, today's fast charger may be obsolete 2 years from now. And so the idea is not to say that legislatively, but to simply create the program. And ultimately the question is going to be, is rural Virginia going to be left behind as EVs begin to take over the market? Because it is not going to happen organically where charging stations pop up in rural and underserved parts of Virginia without a nudge. It just won't happen. And so 5 years from now, when all these manufacturers have moved to almost exclusively EVs, are your constituents going to be able to access this technology? We think this 2-year nudge will start the market as these new EVs come online, and the barbecue restaurants in Virginia will start to have those same EV chargers. And again, who knows what the technology will look like. If you all have thoughts on that, you could legislate that. The language is agnostic in the bill.
And Delegate Sullivan, we appreciate you looking out for rural Virginia.
My pleasure.
Anyone else? Oh, we do have some. Sorry. Delegate Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question for the patron. The other day we just passed out of the House with pretty strong bipartisan support a bill that prohibits gas-powered cars to park in electric charging station spots. And to me, part of the reason behind that was that there's clearly a need for more electric charging spots, right? We have to protect the limited numbers we have for now. Could you speak, and the way I see this fund is an opportunity to really help to incentivize the building of more charging stations to meet the growing need in Virginia. Could you speak a little bit more to that need and how you think this would lay the groundwork? Because clearly, the funding isn't there now, but over time, and help lay that groundwork a little bit more?
Mr. Chairman, Delegate Tran, thank you for the question. As I suggested in my remarks, this is going to happen, frankly, whether we like it or not, right? What we need to do is make sure we are prepared. And we're starting, we've dipped our toes in that water. There's some other legislation moving through having to do with a rebate program. And the answer to the delegate's question is yes, if we got in a time machine and went forward 10 years, there are going to be more charging stations than gas stations. And the question becomes, how do we do that quicker, faster, most efficiently, and attract that to happen in Virginia faster, frankly, than our neighbors. We don't want people going to Tennessee because they got more charging stations. We want them coming to Virginia.
Thank you. Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, I'd like to offer a bit of testimony related to this bill. I drove my Tesla to Nashville, Tennessee, to the Southern Legislative Conference this past year. And on the way back, my wife and I decided we were going to spend some time again exploring Southwest Virginia, a beautiful, lovely area that I have visited on many occasions. But on this occasion, I was limited because it took like more than 100 miles to get to a charging station. Now, luckily, we found one Holiday Inn that had 2 plugs, and we were able to work from that Holiday Inn to visit Southwest Virginia. Now, I was motivated to do that, but if I'm a tourist just traveling down 81 and I find out I can't get off the road because I won't be able to get any electricity, that affects tourism in a major way. Now, the marketplace in other areas that are not rural like Southwest Virginia is, the marketplace is taking care of some of this. In my neighborhood, for example, in the town of Vienna, there is a Wawa station. The unique thing about this Wawa station is it sells no gas. It sells only electricity. It has about 12 charging stations. Now, the marketplace is going to take care of suburbia. But the question is, if you want economic development, if you want tourism, and gosh knows Southwest Virginia has enormous amounts of opportunities for tourism, we're going to have to recognize that we're going to have to respond to people who drive electric vehicles. It's just simply going to have to happen.
Thank you, Delegate Plum. And we do have a speaker's letter. If it is acted upon favorably, we'll need to go upstairs.
Of course.
So,
well, as I suggested, I have an amendment. I have a budget amendment, as does Delegate Kilgore, and we're working together on exactly that, but maybe even strengthening the money going to Southwest Virginia, rural Virginia.
Thank you. Let's go ahead to public comment now. In the queue, we have Philip Mosegas. Is Philip here? Okay. How about Pat Calvert? Okay. So in the audience, anyone else in the audience like to speak in favor? In the queue against? I don't see anyone. So anyone in the audience against? Hear none.
Committee if it scores me any points, I've asked some people not to testify so we can get to that.
Understood. Delegate Plum?
I move that we recommend reporting and referral of appropriations House Bill 351.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All right. All vote on the board, please.
Just a moment.
Sorry.
That number.
All bill reports 5-1, and Delegate Sullivan, thank you for bringing
Thank you,
this.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Okay, next is Delegate Bloxham, Cordova.
He was next.
Sorry, thank you for keeping up with that. Delegate Cordoza, come on up. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will keep this brief. This bill is very simple. It will change the fishing licenses from a 1-year to a multi-year. I'm sorry. I would like. Would someone like to motion to adopt the substitute?
Is there a motion on substitute? Second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The substitute is before us.
My apologies. This would just take it from a 1-year to a multi-year option. I think this would help the state get more money. More people will be interested in fishing licenses. I know my father is an avid fisher, and he hates having to go and do it every year and every year. When you can get 2, 3 multi-year, just like we go to the DMV and we get plates that are, instead of just 1 year, we have several year options. I think that would be a good change for our policy, and it would help the Commonwealth immensely.
Thank you, Delegate Cordoza. Anyone on the committee have any questions? And this is, just to clarify, this is to now let VMRC sell these licenses, not originally as written DWR, so because they're doing it already. Okay. Yeah, well, yes, correct. Sorry. All right. Anyone virtually? No one virtually speaking? So
Mood report.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. Should we probably ask the room just to make sure? Did anybody come and not feel like they weren't heard? Anybody in the room like to speak to this bill? Director Brown?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Ryan Brown from Wildlife Resources, and we don't have a position, but I hadn't seen the substitute. I just wanted to check real quick and see if it, okay, yeah, that's a BMRC license, so.
Never mind.
I don't speak for that.
That time he has an amendment.
Really? Okay. All right. We have motion and a second to report House Bill 1112. All those in favor, vote on the board, please. Yay. Bill report 6-0. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
All right, let's move on. Delegate Bloxham. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I have House Bill 1261. And there is an amendment that was offered by DEQ as a clarifying amendment.
We have a motion on the amendment. A second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The amended bill is before us. Delegate Block, yes, go ahead and report the amendment, please.
Mr. Chairman, we did not receive this in time to get it into the system, so I can read it to you if that's...
Please, that'd be good.
So these are dealing with the enactment clauses. The second enactment clause would read that notwithstanding any other provision of law, the authority of the State Air Pollution Control Board and the State Water Control Board shall be limited to the promulgation of regulations, including general permit regulations, and shall not include the authority to issue, reissue, amend, or deny any environmental permit. The authority to issue, reissue, amend, or deny any environmental permit shall rest solely with the Director of the Department of Environmental Quality, subject to regulations adopted by the Board. For purposes of this Act, environmental permit includes any permit, certificate, or approval pursuant to Chapter 13 of Title 10.1 and Chapters 3.1, 24, and 25 of Title 62.1 and any recodifications thereof. Sorry, that was a mouthful. And then the third enactment would be that any permits or orders issued by the Air Pollution Control Board or the State Water Control Board prior to the effective date of this Act shall continue in full force and are enforceable by the Department of Environmental Quality. The long and the short is this does not change the substance of the bill. It just clarifies how it would actually work in application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The essence of this bill is we're trying to bring some, I'll say, keep the wild swings out of permitting. I think we've seen in DEQ over the last 8 years, pro-business, then it goes pro-environment. It swings back and forth. Sometimes they take the advice of staff. Sometimes they do not. These citizens boards are, everyone knows, are appointed by the governor. So they swing back and forth probably more wildly than business likes. For business, they just want to know what the rules are and how to get a permit. And I think that the citizens boards have become a stumbling block or a hurdle that is unknown. So what we're trying to do here is change the citizens boards. And I'll say this, the governor is not exactly thrilled that I'm taking away some of his authority to appoint members. It's going to fall to members of this body, the members of the Senate, and then the governor gets a couple choices too. But the biggest change in this whole process is going to be the permitting process. Most permits will be issued by DEQ, and that's the gist of the bill. And if you have any questions, I can try to answer them, or I'll defer phone a friend. So,
Anyone have any questions? Anyone in committee of Delegate Bloxham? Delegate Marshall?
You know, I think that this is an important bill because one of the things as far as economic development, especially in rural Virginia, when we're trying to create jobs, we're dealing with not a level playing field when we are competing against other states who basically do what this bill is doing, is trying to do. And so we need to trust the scientists at DEQ, not the people on these boards who are not scientists. So I think this is an important bill, and I'm glad it's forward.
Thank you, Delegate Marshall. Anyone else on the committee have any questions? We actually have 4 in the queue, 4 and 9 against. I'm going to offer 2 of each from each side, and then I'll recognize those who don't have a chance to speak, just so they'll have their support or opposition recognized. So first in the queue, we have Mr. Patrick Fanning for and support of the bill.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm in opposition to the bill.
Okay.
Brett Vassey.
Never mind. All right. Brett Vassey.
Chairman Brett Vassey, CEO of the Virginia Manufacturers Association. We represent about 500 of the companies that are either general permit or regulated by individual permit by the air or the water boards. You all have seen the report that Delegate Plum commissioned from DEQ, so you have that chart of all the authorities. And let me just laser in on a couple of facts. We are the only state in the country that gives a citizen, politically appointed citizen board this much power. And among the Reggie states, we're one of only 2 that give any permitting authority and nothing of this magnitude. And what the regulated industry needs is we need certainty. And we also have a DEQ that does an outstanding job of holding us accountable. And the notion that somehow this is going to give us a free pass is just absolutely not founded. And let me give you a perspective. It can take us up to 2 years to get an air permit. It can take us up to a year to get a VPDS permit. It can cost us anywhere from $250,000 or more to prepare these permits. And the permit writers can require us to exceed what the standards are from the federal and the state. And so what we're hoping to do is to convey to you that the DEQ can protect the environment. What we need to make sure is that we don't have partisan appointees that are ignoring the department and creating this risk in the market. So what we really hope
Mr. Vassey, I hate to cut you off. We're going to have to take quick testimony.
We hope that you support the bill.
We appreciate your testimony. We'll take one more quickly from the virtual. We have 5 minutes before this committee room needs to be converted for full committee. So we want to take one more in support, and we'll take 2 in against. Hobie Bond.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Just to reiterate what Mr. Vassey indicated, businesses expect their projects and operations will involve complying with science-based, sometimes costly regulations for the purpose of protecting the health and public health and natural resources. But we need some structural changes to ensure that permitting decisions stay within legal and regulatory parameters and are based on sound science and the professional judgment of the DEQ staff. We hope you will move this bill forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. All right, we also had Ron Jenkins from the Virginia Loggers Association in support in the queue. Anyone in the audience, briefly, please? And if someone could speak on behalf of the group, it would be helpful. Delegate Bloxham, do you have someone you'd like to speak that perhaps could?
This is fine.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll be brief. Kyle Shreve on behalf of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. I'll just associate my remarks with that made to Mr. Vassey. We spend an awful lot of time working on these permits, and certainty for our economic development efforts, especially for our agriculture and forestry members, is important, especially those that don't have the resources to go through a 2-year process and then have it denied for political reasons. So for those reasons, we do support the bill and thank the patron.
Thank you. In opposition in the queue, first was Pat Calvert. And again, please be brief as possible. Is she there? He there? There he is. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Pat Calvert, Virginia Conservation Network. Considering the time, I'm going to defer my comments to Patrick Fanning, Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Thank you.
Mr. Fanning?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Patrick Fanning with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and we do oppose the bill. Going to the permitting issue, which is the heart of this bill, there seems to be a misperception that these citizen boards are denying permits, and I just want to dissuade or disabuse anyone of that notion. I've looked at the past 10 years worth of permits of the Air Board and the Water Board. The Air Board has denied 1 permit, which led to this bill, the Mountain Valley Pipeline Compressor Station. The Water Board in 10 years has denied 1 permit, and that was at the request of DEQ. So the citizen boards are not a barrier to the issuance of permits to industry. They actually provide an important level of transparency and opportunity for public input, and they ensure that important decisions are not made behind closed doors.
Thank you.
So we would ask that you oppose the bill. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Fanning. Next would be Robert Wayland, and he will be the last one to speak in virtual.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. And I'd like to say I've heard citizens say that during my 11 years on the Water Board in 2 separate appointments thousands of times. And I have the highest regard for the DEQ staff. Its recommendations are weighed carefully by the citizen boards, by the Water Board, and very rarely does the board deviate from DEQ's recommendations. All around the world, we're seeing democracy fall apart, citizens denied the opportunity to participate in government. I think that Virginia's got a great environmental track record, and the Air Board and the Water Board contribute to that. I think that there's really no there's no factual basis for the suggestion that the boards go off and do wild things, that they delay the process, that permits are not issued. That's far from the case. And I think that we've got a system that has succeeded in making Virginia's environment cleaner, even as our economy has grown and our population has grown. And there's simply no basis for or benefit from enacting this proposed bill.
Thank you, Mr. Wayland. I'm just going to recognize those in the room who are against. They are, let's see.
Would ask them to stand.
Well, in the room, let's take testimony from the room from one, if you could. Perhaps the one to speak for all. Come forward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Emily Francis with the Southern Environmental Law Center. Thanks for the quick minute to express our opposition to House Bill 1261. This bill does 2 things to undermine Virginia's environmental permitting framework, and you heard a little bit from the folks in the virtual room. It removes decades-long permitting authority, and what this repeals takes what is currently a very public process and quarterly public meetings, multiple on-ramps for public engagement, and it places it behind the agency doors at DEQ. We think these discussions, this decision-making should happen in the full light of day, and we hope that you vote no. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. We also, in the queue, we had Virginia Conservation Network, Southern Environmental Law Center, Potomac River Keepers Network, Sierra Club, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and the Virginia Conservation Network, and Ms. Roberta Kellum from Northampton County. All were in opposition. So,
last word, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Delegate Watson.
I think DEQ's public participation process is thorough. I think we've looked at that over the last couple of years. I think that this is just an extra step that is not needed if what the gentleman said was true, that in 10 years they haven't overturned except one time a permit from DEQ. I think it's just an extra step that is not needed. So I think that this is a good move for the business climate. Thank you.
Delegate Marshall.
Yes, I'd like to move House Bill 1261 report with amendment.
I have a motion and a second report.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a parliamentary procedure question?
Delegate Tran.
Thank you. I think that this bill fundamentally shifts how we examine what our process is, and we should not be afraid to have more sunlight on the discussions and directly engage with citizens. And I know we were limited in time today. Do you think, seeing the Uber chairs here as well, that we would be able to continue this discussion in full committee?
Thank you, Delegate Tran. Delegate Plum, do you have a brief comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, that was a question. Do you think that when we go to full committee, this would be one of the bills where we have a fuller conversation because we were limited in time today? And that it fundamentally affects these processes and our engagement with our citizens?
Mr. Chairman, and I, with your indulgence, I certainly would anticipate we could find a discrete amount of time to consider it in full committee. Obviously, we've had this subcommittee has taken on a number of very debated topics. I appreciate the chair and the members' participation in that, and I recognize that this is a matter of significant importance, and we will be able to find again a discrete amount of time to do that in full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Uber.
This measure.
So I take it is that a motion?
Suggestion, I think.
It's a
We
suggestion.
have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we
Well,
have a motion.
I have a request to speak.
Delegate Plum, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, one of the disadvantages of being around here a long time is you see these things cycle. We have the system that we have now because when bureaucrats dominated it, the public, including businesses, didn't feel like they had a voice. It wasn't a transparent process. We have now in place the way we have these boards because of the problems that existed in the past when the bureaucracy itself dominated the process. And I suggest to you, if you go with this proposed change, you're going to get back to the same old cycle again, where your fight's not going to be with the board, your fight's going to be with the bureaucrats, because they're going to use the science to establish a position that's different than your science. I highly recommend that we not go this direction. If we have a concern about this, that we ought to put this into some kind of long-term study and more thoughtfully look about how it ought to happen. So I hope we will not recommend reporting the bill.
Mr. Chairman, Delegate Bloxham, and this is for full committee chair, Delegate Ware, should we have a motion to report and a second. So I guess we just go ahead and vote.
How would you like to vote, sir?
The bill passes on a vote of 4-2. Reports on a vote of 4-2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate Bloxham. All right. We will continue our docket next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, same time, same place.
Gavel us out. If you just gavel us
Sorry.
out.
Yes.